Imagine losing your entire school project just because a tiny square piece of plastic decided to forget everything. No warning, no cloud backup, just gone. That used to be normal. For decades, people trusted floppy disks with their most important files. But here's the real question. How did something so small and simple actually store information like text, pictures, or even games? And why did it fail so easily? Today, we're opening up that mystery. Right here, on History of Simple Things. Floppy disks didn't start as the small plastic squares most people remember. The first version was created by IBM in 1971, and it was much larger, about 8 inches wide. It was designed to load data into early computers, not for personal use. Over time, engineers made them smaller and more practical. By the late 1970s, 5¼ inch disks became common. Then in the 1980s, the 3.5-inch floppy disk was introduced, which became the standard most people used. These disks helped computers move from large machines in offices to personal devices at home. They made it possible to carry files, install software, and share information easily. Without floppy disks, early personal computing would have been much slower to grow. At first glance, a floppy disk looks like a simple plastic square, but inside, there's a thin, flexible, circular disk made of plastic and coated with a magnetic material. Think of it like a very soft record, but instead of storing music, it stores data. This magnetic coating is the key. It allows the disk to hold tiny magnetic signals that represent information. When you insert a floppy disk into a computer, the outer shell mostly protects the inside. The real action happens beneath it. The circular disk spins, and a small metal part called the read and write head moves across its surface. This setup might sound simple, but it's doing something very precise. It's reading and writing invisible patterns at high speed. Computers don't understand words or images directly. They only understand binary, which is a system of zeros and ones. So how does a floppy disk store those zeros and ones? It uses magnetism. The surface of the disk is covered with tiny magnetic particles. When data is written onto the disk, the read and write head changes the direction of these particles. One direction might mean 0 and the other might mean 1. It's similar to how a compass needle points north or south. Each tiny magnetic spot holds a small piece of information. When the computer wants to read the data, the head scans these magnetic patterns and converts them back into binary. Then the computer turns that into something you understand, like a document or a game. Now here's where things get more organized. The disk isn't just one big space. It's divided into circular paths called tracks. Each track is further divided into smaller sections called sectors. Imagine a pizza. The circular shape is the track, and each slice is a sector. Each sector holds a small chunk of data. If a file is large, it gets split into many sectors across different tracks. There's also a special area that acts like a map. It tells the computer where each piece of data is stored. Without this map, the computer wouldn't know where to look. So when you open a file, the computer checks the map, finds the right track and sector, and reads the data from there. The floppy disk alone can't do anything. It needs a floppy disk drive. When you insert the disk, the drive spins it at a steady speed. At the same time, the read and write head moves across the disk. This movement is called seeking, and it allows the head to reach different tracks. To write data, the head creates a magnetic field that changes the direction of the particles on the disk. To read data, it detects the magnetic changes already stored there. This process happens quickly, but compared to modern storage, it's slow. Accessing data can take a noticeable amount of time. Still, for its time, this was a major step forward. It allowed computers to store and retrieve information without large and expensive systems. By today's standards, floppy disks stored very little data. A common 3.5-inch floppy disk could hold about 1.44 megabytes. That's less than a single photo taken on a modern smartphone. But back then, it was enough. Early programs, documents, and simple games were small. People even installed entire operating systems using multiple floppy disks. At their peak, floppy disks were used all over the world. They helped spread software, schoolwork, and even early digital art. They were cheap, portable, and easy to use. For many years, they were the main way people shared data between computers. Here's the problem. Floppy disks were fragile. The magnetic surface inside could be damaged by dust, heat, or even a small magnetic field. Since the disk was flexible, it could bend or wear out over time. Every time it spun, it slowly degraded. Even the read and write head could accidentally damage the surface if something went wrong. And because everything depended on tiny magnetic patterns, a small error could corrupt an entire file. That's why people were careful. They used protective cases, avoided touching the exposed parts, and often kept backups, because one mistake could erase everything. Even though floppy disks are mostly gone today, their impact is still everywhere. They helped make personal computing possible. They allowed software to be shared, sold, and improved. More importantly, the basic idea behind them didn't disappear. Modern hard drives still use magnetic storage, just in a much more advanced way. They pack more data into smaller spaces and read it much faster, but the core concept is similar. So in a way, every file you save today has roots in this simple, flexible disk. Floppy disks may seem outdated now, but they were once the bridge between ideas and machines. A simple tool that carried knowledge, creativity, and entire worlds inside a spinning circle of magnetism. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.